welcome back. Today's topic is going to be on the use of herbs and roots in your magic. If you're a person that has the ability to communicate with nature, then you're going to find this especially easy for you to do because you're not going to run into problems when applying these herbs and have any backlash like most people do. So yeah, to start off, each herb is just like deities and gemstones. Each herb has its own spirit. So just like with deities, you know that you can't mix up every deity with another. And it's the same way with plants, well, herbs or whatever. You can't mix every herb with another herb, even if they say that it can be used to cause the same effect. So for example, Esli Donto and Esli Fuera, those are two spirits that can be used for love, but that does not necessarily mean you can put them together, because if you do, it will create chaos. And the same way is for a lot of these herbs. So for example, you got yarrow, rose, and cinnamon. These are three different herbs that are said to be used for love. But if you put them all within the same working, it's not gonna go correctly, because one of the herbs can create a cross of energy. Not to mention most herbs have 3 to 4 different uses. So yarrow, they've said it can be used for love, protection, courage. Cinnamon, love and protection. And rose, mostly just love. So when you get into the use of applying this into your working, you're gonna have to have some form of spiritual ability to figure out which herb, if one is true what they say, what the herb can do, but also how the herb reacts when used with other herbs. So for example, yarrow, if by itself, can be used just for courage. This is me hypothesizing. But if you mix it with rose, it can either amplify that rose or cross the energy completely. So not only can each herb of course has an effect on the magic, but it can either amplify it or completely cross the energy altogether. So for example, devil's dung or asafoetida, you hear mostly that can be used for protection. But if you mix that with bad herbs like peppers or whatever, then that creates a chaotic energy rather than protection. So it all depends. Not only does it depend on what the herb can do by itself, but it depends on how it reacts when it's applied with other herbs. So it's really all just like science and, trial and error, and just like when you're a chemist and you're trying to figure out how this element reacts with other elements. It's the same way. So these are 2 books here: Cunningham's Encyclopedia of Magical Herbs, and you got Hoodoo's Herb and Root Magic. So when reading these books, these will give you an understanding of on what each herb can do, and even how to apply the herbs in magic. But at the same time, these 2 books, when it comes to certain herbs, they'll give you 2 different meanings. So that's when you're gonna have to pay attention to your dreams and things like that, and just even physical manifestations to figure out whether this is true that's in any of these books that you read. So for example, I remember I was doing a love jar and I added yarrow and rose together. When I went to sleep that night, well, other herbs was mixed in, of course, but those are the main herbs. When I went to sleep that night, a spirit told me, yo, you need to take the yarrow out because it's messing up the whole jar. After I took the yarrow out, the jar went smoothly. So, not to say that yarrow isn't a love herb, but when mixed with other herbs that I had in it, it created a cross of energy. So that's why you have to have these spiritual abilities open, because it would have took for me to wait for the physical manifestation before I knew that what I did was off. And yeah, that's a complete waste of time. Who wants to wait for that when you can get the message instantly and go take apart your work and restart? So next, obviously, another thing is each herb can attract certain energies. So like I said, devil's dung can attract protection, but also chaos, because it can also attract demons when used properly. And poison ivy, that's another thing that can attract a negative energy. So when you get into applying these herbs, you gotta understand the energies that they can attract. So you can't always even keep certain herbs in your house because it can attract certain energies. Just like they say certain plants, when you keep it in your house, it attracts blessings and things like that. It's the same way. So I guess it's pretty much all when it comes to herbs. Yeah, so like, share, and subscribe.